Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Nature City Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Pradelli. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Nature City, having started the company over 20 years ago with my wife, Beth. And since then, it's been our pleasure to have served over 500,000 Americans by offering them the best supplements we can make. This week, we're going to be talking about the better berberine. I call it that because it's much more better absorbed and easier and gentler on the stomach than regular berberine. And as you may know, berberine has been kind of exploding in sales in the last couple of years. The interest in berberine kind of stems from its ability to really support metabolic health, particularly supporting blood sugar metabolism and really helping the body convert carbs into energy, cellular energy. Now, as you could probably appreciate, this can help us in a lot of different ways and support healthy aging in many different ways, including maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, our weight management and body composition, cardiovascular health, cognitive function. Pretty much anything that's important as we age is really important. Can be done when you take care of your metabolic health. With respect to blood sugar health, in particular, berberine has been found to support insulin in its ability to move glucose from the bloodstream and into cells, where, of course, it can be used as energy. As you may know, insulin is a hormone that your body secretes when glucose in the blood goes up, and it helps transport it from the bloodstream into your cells, muscles, other tissues, wherever it may be. And berberine has been found to help support, insulin in that body function, right? So it helps make it a little more efficient, gives it a helping hand, essentially. In addition, berberine helps to activate an enzyme called AMPK, okay? What's interesting about this enzyme, it has a role in, many aspects of maintaining cellular energy and balance, but in particular, with respect to berberine, berberine helps activate the enzyme. So again, with respect to blood sugar metabolism, it can help preferentially drive those carbs to muscle instead of being stored as fat. So muscle where it can be burned as energy, which is what we want. And over time, that's going to help your body composition, right? More muscle, less fat as we get older. Of course, as with many things in our body, this AMPK enzyme activity tends to naturally decline as we get age. So with berberine, gives it a little helping hand and helps activate this enzyme when you supplement it with it regularly. So berberine can be found in a number of plants, most notably in something called Berberis aristata, which is a shrub, also known as Indian barberry. But the challenge with taking berberine as a supplement is it's not easily digestible. Berberine gets absorbed into the bloodstream at a very low rate after you ingest it. This means you have to take a lot of berberine to get desired effects. So it's often suggested you take 1,000 milligrams or 1,500 milligrams a day, which is a pretty high amount. Because of the challenges of digesting berberine, taking these large amounts can cause gastrointestinal issues in some users, right? Maybe bloating, a little stomach upset, things you don't want. And no matter how something may be helping you, taking it daily is just not sustainable if it's upsetting your stomach. Researchers started looking at this issue as to why berberine is not absorbed well in our bodies. And one of the interesting things they found is that our bodies first convert some of the berberine into a derivative called dihydroberberine, which is then absorbed into our intestinal tissues. And while it's in there, it's actually converted back to berberine as it enters the bloodstream, right? So you start with berberine, which you ingest. Your body converts some of this to dihydroberberine. And then once in intestinal tissues, it reverts back to berberine. I mean, it's not some type of magical process. It just gets oxidized back to berberine, which is how it appears in your bloodstream. So you can guess what the researchers thought of next. They really asked, can we help the body by converting the berberine to the dihydroberberine form which is what the body prefers for absorption purposes, and make that the supplement instead of regular berberine. Maybe we'd be able to take less and get the same amount of berberine in the bloodstream, but with less unwanted gastrointestinal effects. Well, we now have this ingredient available to us, and the dihydroberberine ingredient for supplements that we believe is the purest and most reliable is called GlucoVantage. I was first introduced to GlucoVantage by a gentleman named Sean Wells, who's a biochemist and who was extremely knowledgeable on the subject of supplement ingredients. He wrote a great book, in fact, called The Energy Formula, that includes his favorite supplement ingredients, many of which overlap with my favorites, and included in that is the GlucoVantage dihydroberberine. Now, Sean is a big fan of berberine because of how it can support healthy aging, as we discussed before. But when he started analyzing berberine supplements in the lab, he was shocked that less than 10% of them were pure berberine. Okay, so I think he saw like around 40 products, only like 3 of them were actually pure berberine or contained the amount of berberine stated on the label, right? So this is another challenge when buying a berberine supplement. You don't often get what you think you're buying, all right? And look, we've seen this with other botanicals too. If you've heard my podcast on aloe vera, we discussed this. We've seen it with curcumin, saffron. When something becomes popular, there's incentive among people who, maybe aren't looking out for you, but for themselves to give you something that isn't pure or give you less of what you want. We believe that GlucoVantage dihydroberberine is the better way to go for anyone looking for the benefits of berberine supplements because it really addresses all of the challenges with regular berberine supplements. First, because GlucoVantage is already in the form the body prefers for absorption, which is the dihydroberberine form, your body finds it easier to absorb, right? And you could take much smaller doses to get the same amount of berberine in the bloodstream, okay? So, when they first tested this, they started looking at, comparing taking the GlucoVantage dihydroberberine to regular berberine, they found that the dihydroberberine was absorbed up to 5 times better than the regular berberine. So said differently, right? Taking only about 100 milligrams of GlucoVantage dihydroberberine, you'll get your similar amount of berberine in the bloodstream as taking 500 milligrams of the regular berberine supplement. Okay, so that's makes a big difference. 1, probably a little bit of a cost advantage for you when you're buying your supplement, but 2, more importantly, you're less likely with this lower amount to have any unwanted gastrointestinal issues. Also interesting, and I think they need to do more work on the second point, but it's also interesting that they found that the berberine seems to last a little longer in the blood too when you're taking GlucoVantage compared to a regular berberine supplement. So, great news on all fronts. And berberine is made from the same Berberis avistata plant as pure berberine supplements. And it's the berberine is extracted from that plant and converted to dihydroberberine using a special process, which also keeps it stable, meaning it's in the same dihydroberberine form when you take it as when they make it. We also like that the makers of GlucoVantage have done work to demonstrate the safety of the ingredient, right? Not only they look at the bioavailability and the ability of the dihydroberberine to make it into the bloodstream as berberine, but they also looked at the safety of the ingredient and did not find any concerns when used as recommended. And speaking of that, it's generally recommended taking about 200 milligrams to 300 milligrams of GlucoVantage daily. Okay. At Nature City, we have 100 milligrams in each capsule of our True Gluco SP product. Okay. You can find that on naturecity.com. So to get 200 to 300 milligrams, depending on on your goals. And of course, we always encourage our clients to make sure that their doctors are aware of the supplements they're taking. But to get 200 milligrams to 300 milligrams of the GlucoVantage dihydroberberine daily, you would need to take 2 to 3 capsules. With this product, we suggest taking it about 30 minutes or so before a meal. Sometimes, clients, maybe they have some meals where they feel they're not getting much, in the way of carbohydrates. Well, if that's the case, you could wait till you have a bigger meal with your carbohydrates and take 2 prior to that meal. But generally, look to take 1 capsule before a meal with carbohydrates. In addition to the GlucoVantage, TruGluco SP also includes 2 other ingredients that really, I think, make it a winning combination for helping with metabolic and blood sugar health support. These 2 nutrients are NC2, which is a brown seaweed that helps you slow down the digestion of starch and sugar. So you have a little more orderly digestion process by your body. And we also have the Chrominex 6 chromium ingredient, which also helps support blood sugar metabolism. If you haven't seen my episode of the Nature City podcast from a few weeks ago, I interviewed a gentleman named Jocelyn Berube on the specific topic of NC2 and chromium. And I suggest how you go back and take a look at that, because it really details how all these ingredients can really work together to give you the best support possible. So that's it for today's episode. If you can, please like this episode, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to see future episodes. We're also on your favorite streaming services, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or you could just go to our website, natureseed.com, and sign up for our email. Each Saturday morning, we'll send you an email with the latest episode that you can view or listen to at your leisure. So again, this is Carl Pradelli. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.